I frequently get the question, what is the best way to get started in RC drifting? The answer's not super easy. I'm here to walk you through a few things that you should consider as you're thinking about getting into the RC drifting hobby. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Troy. This is RoadsideRC. You'll tend to find me bashing or crawling or drifting or racing, plus doing product review videos and how-tos. The first piece up is drive. So all-wheel drive versus rear-wheel drive. I have a whole video where it dives deeper into all-wheel drive versus rear-wheel drive, and I'll leave that link down in the video description. But the very, very simple answer is, the rest of this video is about rear-wheel drive RC drifting. All-wheel drive has a place, and it is a lot of fun, but it's more like bashing. I love to take them to skate parks. I love to run them around parking lots. These are more for like scale drifting at a track, tandeming door to door, and it is one of my favorite things, and I love helping people get started. The second piece is the scale. Both of these cars, and most of the ones that I will recommend, are 10th scale. Yes, you will find that there are some 24th scale, 18th scale that are out there, and I do not recommend them. The vast majority of people in this hobby are in the 10th scale, and so if you are looking to get in there, you're looking for advice, you're looking for help, you're gonna want to stick to this scale. The other piece of it is those smaller scale vehicles, although appear to be tempting that they may be cheaper, the truth is you can get into a 10th scale and have it actually all the way up and running, usually for less money. The really big consideration that a lot of people run into is, do you want a ready-to-run RTR or do you want a kit? And there's a lot of what I'm going to actually say is bad information where people try to shove new folks straight to a kit. The thought is, if you've built the thing yourself, you understand more about how it works and the parts, so that if anything goes wrong, then you know how to fix it. And that's a valid argument, but I believe it has some pretty big drawbacks. A lot of new folks, they won't have the proper tools, so that adds up to frustration and a lot of extra cost as you have to get the right tools to assemble one of these cars. The new folks, when they're building a kit, also try to cut corners a little bit and end up with vastly inferior electronics, which really hurts the overall driving dynamics, and then those folks get frustrated and they get out of the hobby. Once you've pieced together the chassis plus the body plus the tires and wheels plus the electronics, it actually ends up being a higher entry price, which is a bigger barrier to get people started. And then it's just more daunting. It's more daunting to say, like, I'm not taking it out of the box and plugging it in and trying it. I have a week plus of like building something and figuring out how to put it together, and then I got to try to set it up and everything else like that. It's very daunting to folks. And so again, we're trying to remove barriers to let people get into the hobby easier, not making it harder. So if you're really dead set on maybe you really want a kit, here's the 3 things that I think you need to be able to say yes to, and a firm yes to. First is, do you have a local track or very, very supportive community around you? If you do not have a track, if you do not have anybody, you will end up messaging folks like me over the internet from thousands of miles away trying to figure out what's wrong. And I promise you, doing this all the time, that is very hard to do. It's very hard for me to answer what's wrong with your drift build from 1,000 miles away. Having someone get their hands on it is dramatically more helpful. Question 2 is, are you a veteran of the RC hobby, or is this your very first time? If you are a veteran of the RC hobby, you've built a bunch of crawlers, and you have a wall full of tools, and you have part bins, and you have a battery charger, and you have a really nice controller, and you have batteries, and you have all this stuff, then maybe it's okay to build a kit instead of getting it ready to start. Because number 3 is, a lot of times people, even if they've been in the hobby, they've been bashing or they've been crawling, and they want to build a kit, and then they put some junk radio on it. They put bad ESC and motor on it. They put a bad servo. They put a cheap junk gyro. And so, do you have quality components laying around? Do you have some very quality drift recommended, not drift spec, but drift recommended controllers, ESC, motor, servo, that kind of stuff, to where making a kit really does actually just make more sense? So those are the 3 things. If you can firmly say yes to those 3 things, then maybe a kit legitimately makes more sense. But if those answers are no, you need to go ready to run. So let's assume for just a second that you said yes, and you're very firmly said yes to all of the kit chassis questions. Which chassis do you get? Because there's so many choices, it's really hard to pick. Everybody on the internet will have dramatic opinions of which one you should get, and they're all wrong. Wait, I realize I'm one of the ones on the internet right now, but here, listen to this and make sure that this makes sense to you. It doesn't matter what some broski on the internet says is that what they think the best chassis is. What you need is someone who can help you set it up, troubleshoot when something goes wrong, maybe have some spare parts on the track when you go there and you accidentally screw something up. So that means, as a beginner, the best chassis to get, my recommendation, is you go to your local track, because you've already told me you have one and a supportive community. You're going to go to that group. You're going to see who it is that's actually good. Stand around a little bit. See who it is on track that's actually making laps and doing a good job. See who's kind and nice and helpful. Is there someone there at the track that's walking around and being very nice and helping other people and maybe helping others set up their cars and that kind of thing? That someone that you get along with? That person, find out what they're driving. And assuming they're not driving some $1,000 crazy chassis, get what they have. That's right. Go out and buy a copy. The same chassis as they have. You may even want to consider buying the same electronics that they have. That way, when you go back to the track, that super nice and friendly and helpful person who actually knows what they're doing because they're able to make lap after lap after lap at the track and get in folks' doors, they're going to be able to help you an immeasurable amount because they are familiar with everything that you have. I can't tell you the number of times someone comes to our track with a car that I've never personally had my hands on, with electronics that I have not used, and then they ask me for help, and I'm more than happy to help, clearly, but I'm not the perfect person to answer if I haven't used their chassis and their electronics before. So does that make sense? So that's the best answer as a beginner for which kit you should get. Now, let's be clear. Maybe you want something else, and some broski on the internet says that, oh, you should get the XYZ chassis. You're probably going to end up with more than one anyway. This is just your first, as you're beginning in the hobby. If you think, someone on the internet tells you that the one that you're picking out is really, really bad, don't worry. You're going to probably end up with more than one in the long run anyway. Jumping back over to the ready-to-run side of the camp, there's really 4 drift chassis out there right now that you can choose from. The Redcat RDS, the Yokomo Ready to Run, the MST RMX Ready to Run, and the Team Associated DC10 Ready to Run. And they all have some pros and cons and some benefits and some detriments to them as to which one you may want to get. And we can make this really long talking about which one and all the details, but very, very simply, if you want the most complete and pretty much budget-friendly option, go Redcat RDS. If you want the highest performance ceiling threshold with a lot of just a huge amount of industry parts available for it, go Yokomo. If you're not as concerned about max performance and you just want simple out of the box and most likely 10 people at your local track have one, you're going to go MST. And if you're a Team Associated fanboy, or if you really like the unicorn body and you're not afraid of spending a little bit of extra money, you're going to go Team Associated DC10. Those cars can be had for, I'm going to say roughly the same price, but there's definitely some differences. The MST, which gets the dramatic most votes online, even though I tend to disagree with it, is $399. The DC10 is the most expensive, $429, but you can also go $489 if you want a battery and charger included with it. The Redcat RDS is $399, but here's what I'm going to tell you, don't pay $399 for it. Redcat runs a sale on it frequently enough that it ends up being the cheapest one on this list. And then the Yokomo, the cheapest base price out there, $339. Again, highest performance ceiling threshold, also the one that you're probably going to be doing upgrades to first, like quickest out of any of them. But now, if you want more detail on the breakdown and the differences and potential upgrades and everything like that you're going to want out of these ready to runs, I have a different video that I'm going to leave in the video description, and I'll have pop up over here at the end of the video so you can easily get to it. I did a deep dive on the MST, the Yokomo, and the Redcat to really give you a lot more detail about why I say that those are my recommendations. The DC-10 wasn't out at that time, but also because of its price point, honestly, for most of the people that I talked to, would kick it out of even the consideration anyway. And then lastly, with a few of these vehicles, they're not 100% ready to run. The Yokomo does come, if I remember correctly, with absolutely everything that you need. Like I said, the DC-10, you can pay a little extra, $489, and get a battery and a charger along with it. But I believe with the Redcat and the MST both, you're going to actually need to add a battery and a charger to them. So that's an additional cost. Now, what I'm going to recommend is that you don't cheap out, that you actually get some good quality batteries and chargers, which is what you're going to end up upgrading the Team Associated or the Yokomo to anyway, longer run. I'm going to leave those in the video description, a recommendation for a couple batteries, couple chargers that I think are good options for everybody and kind of future-proof you too. You get these, and then no matter what drift car, maybe even some other RC cars that you have, you're gonna be set up and ready to go. So like I said, I get this question a lot. There's a lot of folks that are very interested in getting started in RC drifting. So I hope this very easy, quick intro was helpful for you. If you have any questions, please leave them down in the video comments. I'm gonna be happy to respond to you there, talk back and forth. If you have any other questions, if you need links for some of the stuff, if you want some more specific pro cons on some of the exact vehicles or nuances to these yes/no questions that I asked, then let me know. I'm happy to talk to you down in the video comments. And if you are interested in that ready to run comparison, playlist is going to be popping up, and I'm going to have a link to all of these vehicles in the video description as well, so you can see a little bit more about them there. So I hope this was useful for you. Let me know. We'll talk to you later. Goodbye.